Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 5. So this week on The Flash we have episode 12, otherwise entitled Memorabilia, which will see us jump into Nora's memories and bear witness to some prior events, or are they future events in Nora's life. Most of which will look to be in the Flash Museum. Not entirely sure if we're going to see any memories of Nora's outside of the Flash Museum in this episode. We might have to wait a few more episodes to see anything in the outside world of Nora's present day through like flashbacks and stuff like that. I think we were promised an episode like that. It seems like we might be confined to the Flash Museum in this episode though, which isn't a bad thing. There's lots of cool stuff in the museum that I'm sure we are all excited to have a look at. But in this video, we will be going over some promo material in regards to that episode, as well as the synopsis for episode 13 and 14 for this season, might I say, which are entitled Gold-Faced and Cause and Excess. But to set up a proper narrative, as I like to do in my videos, let's start with the descriptions for episode 13 and 14 for this season, break them down quickly, and then go over those promo materials. But of course, let me know in the comment section down below your various theories and thoughts on what we go over in this video, interact in the comments, and just excited to see what you guys have to say. And of course, if you're looking forward to anything that we go over in this video, be sure to drop a like on the video for that, or just to show your support. So here is the synopsis for episode 13, otherwise entitled Gold-Faced. Barry and Ralph must go undercover as criminals in an illegal black market to purchase a device that could help them stop Cicada. Once inside, Barry and Ralph find their morality tested as they slip deeper into the criminal world, eventually having to choose between committing a crime or losing the means to defeat one of their greatest foes. Meanwhile, Iris investigates a lead on Cicada's whereabouts and ends up in a dangerous situation. So first up, I think this episode will serve up some comedy with Barry and Ralph posing as criminals. I mean, Barry and Ralph are the two most unlikely looking criminals in Central City. I mean, Grace, Cicada's niece, like while in a coma, would be a more passable criminal than Barry and Ralph. Anyway, the interesting thing that will come from this part of the episode is like the moral decision that will have to be made between both Barry and Ralph over whether or not to commit a crime in order to get a device that could potentially help them take down Cicada once and for all. Now, if this was earlier last season in season 4, Ralph might slip into this trap pretty easily. Not saying he loves to commit crimes or anything like that, just that he, like his moral radar, if you want to call it, wouldn't be as strong as Barry and others back then. But obviously Ralph has changed now. If anything, he's maybe a bit stronger in certain departments with that compared to some others. I do have a feeling they will start to go along with the committing the crime just due to like the desperation as to wanting to stop Cicada, but will then like either convince whoever they are helping to stop doing the crime, or they will stop the crime themselves and still somehow get the device, maybe something like that. But the biggest thing to actually take note of from this synopsis is actually the last part of it, which is about Iris investigating a lead on Cicada's whereabouts. And I'm not memeing it up here either, I'm being serious. The reason that this is the biggest thing is because it is Iris doing something that is actually relevant to her character and storyline that we were promised this year. We were promised stuff around this. I have seen a lot of Iris fans annoyed that Nora is essentially like, what's the word, like a roadblock of sorts for Iris? You know, like preventing Iris from doing her own thing and then riding Iris around Nora rather than riding Iris around Iris. Which I can understand. However, I feel that Nora is giving Iris some development in certain areas, though they are the areas that aren't necessarily like super important for Iris at this stage in, well, the show's run and just her character. But with Iris doing some investigating, which obviously ties into her journalism arc, maybe we will start to see that storyline move forward in this back half of the season. As in the first half, we got like 1, maybe 2 scenes at the most that were relevant to that storyline, which we were told would be a big thing this season. But now let's move on to the synopsis for episode 14, otherwise entitled Cause and Excess, which I'm guessing is a play on cause and effect. After Iris lands in serious danger, Nora races to save her mother. Barry puts the finishing touches on the metahuman cure, leaving Cisco with a rare night off, so he decides to take Camilla on a date. So this synopsis, well at least the first part of it, actually seems to play off of the one that we just went over for episode 13. So it says that Iris lands in serious danger and that it is up to Nora to save her mother. So Bebo knows where Barry is in this whole situation, anyway. But seeing that the episode 13 synopsis does say that Iris will be out and about on the town doing some investigating, you would have to think that this might carry over into episode 14 as well, and that's what she's doing, which leads to some trouble. I guess the big question is whether this danger is around Cicada, or maybe some other questionable characters. If you had to put your money on it, like place a bet, I would probably say it won't have anything to do with Cicada directly, and would just be some other, lead connected to something possibly attached to Cicada, or another villain or problem in Central City in itself. Maybe Iris got a lead on some other criminal thing going on that she wants to write a piece on her blog about, and that's why she's out and about, and that's how she gets in danger. Who knows? The fact that XS is in the title, though, makes you think it will be a big episode for Nora, which could possibly suggest that we get more Reverse Flash and Nora scenes in this episode. We obviously don't know what will go down exactly in episode 12, which could contain Nora being exposed or something like that. But the fact that her super name, I guess you can call it, is in the title for this episode is something to take note of. The next part of the synopsis talks about Barry putting the finishing touches onto the metahuman cure that we have seen Kaylin and Cisco working on for the past 2 episodes. It is interesting that he is the one putting these finishing touches on the cure. Maybe the synopsis just decided to highlight this to show that Barry will be doing, stuff around that in this episode, and that's why Nora is the one on, the Iris rescue duty. Obviously, there could be a major reason as to why Barry's the one connected to finishing up the cure that we might find out in episode 12, 13, or maybe this episode of episode 14. But at this stage, we have literally no idea why Barry would be connected to it, because it seemed like it was Cicada's blood was the big thing that they really needed. Maybe they need something else. Maybe Barry's blood. I don't know. But if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments section down below what you might think in regards to this. And the last part does talk about Cisco having a rare night off and taking Camilla on a date. But hold on, who the hell is Camilla? Well, let's jump into the promo images for episode 12, which sort of gives us an idea as to what's going on here. So most of them are just things we saw in the trailer or trailers and stuff like that. They actually don't show any Flash Museum stuff in these promo images, which I am sort of, or maybe extremely disappointed by. Like maybe 1 or 2 cool shots of just parts of the Flash Museum would have been cool, but I guess we might have to wait, or we will have to wait for the actual episode to see any of that. Anyway, we do just get images of like Sherlock, Caitlin, Barry, Iris, and Nora in the area in which the memory machine that we've been told about is being used. But then we also see images of Ralph and Cisco at a bar, which was actually highlighted in the synopsis for episode 12 whenever that was released. But this is when we see Cisco meeting Camilla, who is a bartender. So this will be the origin of a romance of sorts for Cisco this season, obviously getting over what happened to Gypsy last season. I know a lot of people really liked Cisco and Gypsy together, but I'm guessing it's just the actress unavailability. I don't know what she's doing now. I think her show that she left Flash to do did get cancelled, but maybe she got something else. I'm not too sure about what she's doing now, but maybe, I guess they did sort of end the Cisco-Gypsy relationship in a fairly half-decent way, which, I don't think people can get too angry about how it ended. So, I don't know. I liked it, but I'm not going to whine and cry over it. But we know that Camilla will still be relevant 2 episodes after this one. So I'm guessing in episode, this one we'll see the birth of it. Episode 13, there'll be some more of it. And then episode 14, there'll be some more of it. So it will be interesting to see where it goes this season. But this could possibly tie into a thing with Cisco, and that is about Cisco leaving the show. Now, it was rumored before this season even aired, before it even started on TV, that Carlos Valdez would be leaving either right at the end of this season or towards the end of this season. Like, this would be his last season on the show, so he would have Cisco Ramon being written off of The Flash. And what we saw, not last episode in episode 11, but episode 10, sort of hinted at that as well, where he was like, he was fine with not having his powers. It was sort of like a relief. And what he wants to do is have a family. He wants to have a wife. He wants to have a kid. Everyone else on Team Flash has that family aspect or someone in their lives. Cisco doesn't. He does sort of feel that him being a metahuman and stuff, not directly holding him back, but it is a factor in it. And he would just like to be a normal person with a normal life and stuff like that, with a family and all of that. So that really did suggest it. Some people were picking up on it, and some people did come back to me and they're like, oh, maybe that rumor from the beginning of the season that you talked about is true. And I'm thinking that maybe it is. And I'm not the biggest fan of it, and I'll give you a reason why. Cisco to me, and I have discussed this with a couple of other people, but Cisco to me is the actual heart of the show. You think the heart of the show would be Barry as the Flash because he's the title character. You think he would be the heart of it. But I personally think that Cisco is the heart of the show, or you could argue that Team Flash is like the original Team Flash. So you have Cisco, whatever version of Wells it is, and Caitlin and Barry, take out Barry out of the equation. Just in regards to supporting characters and them being the heart of the show, I think it's Cisco, whatever version of Wells it is, and then Caitlin. I think that's the heart of the show. And as soon as you take one of them out, the show feels very, very different. So you can even tell, and there's examples of it, when a Wells is out of the show, it feels a bit weird not having a version of Wells on the show for a bit. People argue like, oh, I'm sick of all these versions of Wells, but then they go, oh, it felt weird when there wasn't a version of Wells on the show for an episode or two. It does feel weird. So I just don't know how the show would feel once Cisco leaves, because he is that pop culture reference. He was like the icebreaker who breaks tension at certain points, but he's also an important member to just how things are done. Like, he's the engineer. He comes up with all the little gadgets and stuff that's used. He makes the Flash suit. And you might be wondering, well, what are they going to do when Cisco leaves? If he does leave, where do they move forward? And they sort of did set that up in episode 1. Who made the Flash ring? Ryan Choi. So I have a feeling that maybe they're going to replace Cisco with Ryan Choi, whether it be at the end of this season or the beginning of next season, if he leaves. Obviously, he might not leave and the show is just doing something else weird that makes us think that Cisco's going to leave. But personally, there was a rumor before this season started, and there is just little hints at it now as we move into this back half, which makes you think that he might leave. Maybe he leaves with Camilla, just have a normal life and stuff like that. I don't know. It just seems that that's what they might be doing. It would suck if he left, but if the actor Carlos Valdez wants to go and do other stuff, you got to appreciate that, and it's his career. And like he did, I think, he's a Broadway dude, so it wouldn't surprise me if he wanted to do more theater stuff. Which, when you do these TV shows, it's basically impossible to do that stuff because your schedule's so tight. But yeah, guys, sorry to end the video on a bit of a bummer with the possibility of one of our favorite characters leaving, but hopefully you still enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and it shows support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over. Do you think that Cisco is going to be leaving the show, or do you think the show is just doing something a bit strange that just sort of portrays that he might be leaving the show? Just let me know all of your opinions down there in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.